Lisa.
Hello, Andrew.
Aren't you tall?
You're just slumped.
Am I in a ditch?
You're in the bit between the
I've fallen
cushions.
down. I've fallen in the sofa and I'm sinking. Good evening, everyone. Or good morning, because that's probably when we're going to upload it.
Yes.
We've just realised that it won't be long before we have to say ta-ta to Jon Pertwee on Twitch.
No. A few more days.
And I think people might want to see some more Pertwee.
Yes.
Fairly soon, probably. And sadly, that's your lot, really. Except, of course, Jon Pertwee did a lot more than Doctor Who, didn't he?
Yes.
Now, did you ever see him in real life?
In real life, I met him on at least one occasion at a signing.
Yeah.
And when he arrived, he did his thing that if you look for clips of Jon Pertwee on things, when he arrives, he always stands like that. He doesn't do that's the Whodunit thing. But he'll stand with his arms out. And his
I am the Doctor.
Yes, and he did that, and I unfortunately didn't get my camera sorted in time to take a picture. But I did meet him, and he was, as far as I remember, he was very nice.
Did
you
have a picture taken with him?
Maybe.
I vaguely recall seeing a picture of you and John. And
God knows where it is, though.
This is a long time ago.
Yes.
I can't remember.
It's got to be at least 22 years ago.
I don't think I ever saw him at a convention that I can think of.
I thought you were at one. I saw him at a convention. One. At a Panopticon or something?
The first Panopticon we went to was 97
and passed away.
John died in 1996 before the TV movie was shown.
Maybe I saw him at an early one then.
No,
I know, I have heard, maybe I've just heard it, that, because he didn't do a panel as such. He would go on the stage alone and talk about his life and then maybe take questions at the end.
Because he had quite a well-rehearsed sort of...
which he later developed into his...
An Evening with Jon Pertwee.
As you always refer to it, his one-woman show.
Yeah. But I did see him do the Ultimate Adventure stage play in 1989. In fact, I saw him do it twice. You didn't see that at all, did you? I saw it at the original venue, which was the Wimbledon Theatre, and I can prove that in a second.
Yes.
And I also saw him at Bristol, because I went with Warren to see that. But after a little bit of digging about, not much actually, I found this. And you're going to have to help me up, Lisa. Out of the crack. There we go. I found, it says Wimbledon Theatre. It's a pretty generic thing, but inside it says Jon Pertwee in Doctor Who, The Ultimate Adventure, and there's a cast list. But Daleks created by Terry Nation. I do like the fact it says Cybermen, copyright Jerry Davis and Kit Pedlar, and they've done the thing of spelling Kit Pedlar's name Pedlar. Now a pedlar is a person who goes from sort of door to door selling things. So a kit peddler will be a bloke that goes from door to door selling Airfix kits or something like that. But yes, the Ultimate Adventure was a lovely little thing. I thought I very much enjoyed it. Yes, I said we saw it at the original venue in the Wimbledon Theatre with a friend from university, Scott, who I think edited the fanzine Animus. Has done a couple of sort of films that I think Mark Ayres has done music for. I've long since sort of lost touch with him, but he was. We sort of ran into each other at university at Southampton, and seeing John on stage was just wonderful, because he really was very much at home in the part of the Doctor, I think. But then Warren and I saw it at Bristol, and it was the same. It was the same play. There were very little variation from sort of performance to performance. Later on, was it Colin Baker did it, and
yeah.
David Banks did it for
A few nights.
yeah, because when John got ill at one point. I've seen photos of David Banks, but
Yes.
that's all I've seen of that. There is the story that Warren will tell you about how we went there on the train, I think, and then we didn't realise that the train back from Salisbury there was a replacement bus service.
Gosh.
So we were sort of hanging about on Bristol trains. Sorry, Warren. Railway station. He gets cross if I say train station. And somebody said, there's a bus outside, and we nearly missed it. We got on the bus. Then you had to get on another train, I think, and then another bus to get back to Salisbury. I think the bloke heading for Salisbury didn't quite know where he was going, and I think Warren ended up directing the bus driver. But I don't remember much about the second half of that journey, as I was spending too long panicking that I'd lost my wallet.
Oh, God.
With everything in it, money and all my cards and everything, because it had fallen out on the first bus.
God.
And I remember going into work, it must have been the Monday, I guess, and feeling really, really weird and lost that I didn't have my wallet. Because I joke now that like Jon Pertwee nicked my wallet, and it's not true, of course. But amazingly, somebody found it and handed it in. I guess maybe because it was probably the last bus of the night. Somebody sort of either the bus driver did a check or the people sort of doing the cleaning thing the next day found my wallet and thankfully got it back to me. But that was really, really weird. Not having a wallet. So for me, that was the ultimate adventure: losing your wallet.
Yes.
But what else can you see John in?
You can see
these days?
John in Whodunnit, which is available complete from Network. And we can't currently find any of the DVDs.
Well, we did do
but we've done a video
about Whodunit.
So if you want to see about
some time ago, which is, I think it's called Summer Thoughts on Whodunit. And even that is not a sort of complete guide to Whodunit. We've featured Whodunit several times on our podcast, and on one of the most recent ones, in fact.
Yes.
But if you want to hold up the book,
but we do have this, which is
there's John
Whodunit
in his best shirt.
Yes, this is from the last series. That picture.
Yes, I can tell from the shirt and the jacket. Yes.
And this is short stories where you have to try and work out who done it.
Which is basically the format of the show, isn't it?
But what happens in the episodes is, so there's 5 series, is there?
Oh, I'm going to have to look now.
And the first series is hosted by...
there's 6, I think.
6 series.
I think there's 6 series. I will look.
Yes.
But
the first series is hosted by
I've got the computer just over there.
Edward
so
Woodward,
I'll just go and have a look.
who is primarily known for Callan and The Equalizer. And from the second series onwards, Jon Pertwee takes over. Now, admittedly, Edward Woodward as a host is a little awkward.
Yeah.
But I think they're still working out the format at this point, which doesn't help him.
Well, the pilot episode...
But it's actually the pilot episode is hosted by Shaw Taylor.
Yeah, it's Shaw Taylor.
Yes.
And then I think Edward Woodward is he a guest?
Yes. And then he takes over as host, and then after the first series, whether or not he was unavailable or whether or not Jon Pertwee...
Well, John's a guest in
Series 1,
isn't he?
And he plays up a little bit.
He's a little bit annoying.
He's a bit annoying, yes. And whether they thought, he'd be a good presenter, and he from then onwards for the rest of the series, however many that is.
I can confirm there were 6 seasons, having just looked it up, yes.
He is the host.
Yes.
And you get 4 panel members. For the first couple of series that he does it, they are celebrities.
Yeah.
And then from about halfway through, you get a member of the public who's won a competition in TV Times and looks bewildered, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And normally you get Patrick Moore on there, because Patrick Moore is a resident celebrity panellist, and Anushka Hempel.
She's on there quite a lot.
She's on there quite a lot. And then later on you get Lisa Goddard, but you get all sorts of people. We get really bizarre people, like a really bizarre mix of
Well, you get Kingsley Amos,
and
Arthur Mullard on one.
But they sit on separate ends of the panel just in case.
And you get Lindsay Wagner and Magnus Pike on
Sat
another
next
one.
to each other. Yes.
That's a real collision of cultures, isn't it?
But it's a great series. You get they do like a little play almost of about a murder, or sometimes it's a theft, or it's not always a murder. It's mostly murders, but it's not always. And you have to try and work out who done it, obviously. And William Russell's in an episode.
Yeah.
Christmas special.
I was going to say it's very good not only for Doctor Who regulars, but for Doctor Who guest artists as well. Because you've got William Russell,
Katie Manning's in an episode,
Nick Courtney,
yeah,
and then you've got people like sort of Frank Gatliff and things like that,
who have done little parts in things, and he's in one of the Pelican.
Or John Challis is in
Challis,
one. Kate O'Mara,
she's in a couple.
Right. She's in
Tony Ann Holt, who's not actually in Doctor Who, but it's in Space 1999's in some. And
of course Paul Darrow.
Oh, Paul Darrow, the legend that is Paul Darrow.
Yes, bless him.
If you see no other Whodunit episodes, see Paul Darrow's. They are extraordinary.
Both of them. Yeah.
Yes.
But if you sort of got to know the Jon Pertwee era,
you will recognise people.
Yes, there's usually somebody that's quite familiar that pops up in Whodunit. And of course John's got this thing at the end, and I don't know whether we'll do it at the end or not, where he does this sort of
that's meant to be
thing
a W.
at the end, and I think it's meant to be a W because you got and then his head's the middle bit, and it's like that.
Yes.
And there was there are some very strange plots. It has to be said, and it seems the longer the series goes,
the weirder it gets. Yeah.
Which I quite enjoy.
But it is great fun.
And by the end, they're doing, oh well, we don't care what we write at this point.
No, we're not getting another series, so. But yeah.
But also the other major Jon Pertwee thing.
Yes, he's really known as is Worzel Gummidge. Ooh. And this is Worzel Gummidge Down Under. So this is the. This is not the. I mean, it is an original one, but he does one in this country, and then. The company that made it lost their franchise and it stopped.
I mean, Worzel Gummidge is
New Zealand.
And
Peter Jackson works on it.
Oh, that's true. Yes, Worzel Gummidge is made quite locally to us because we're
by Southern.
Yes, we're what was the Southern TV region. So I feel sort of very, very proud of Worzel Gummidge as a series anyway. But if you want to hold the book up as well.
And we also have this, and this is, if you're a fan of Worzel Gummidge or a fan of Jon Pertwee, this is highly recommended. And this is the lovely The Worzel book by Stuart Manning, which is chock full of stories,
it's
episode guides.
Fantastic book.
You've got costume pictures in here. It's just amazingly wonderful book.
I always have a quite high standard, I think, for... behind the scenes, what's that? Costume design.
It's costume design, and you've got that's Beryl Reid. That's Beryl Reid's Worzel's mother in it, and Aunt Sally, of course.
Yeah, as I was saying, I've got a very high standard for behind the scenes books when it comes to anything I like, and this book really does hit the standard for me.
And this is available from Milk.
MIWK.
MIWK, that's the...
Hello, Matt West.
Yes.
Who's probably not watching this because he's got better things to do.
Yeah.
But again, let's briefly talk about how wonderful Jon is.
He is absolutely wonderful.
As Worzel.
I think he actually, and it probably sounds like heresy to say this, but he liked being Worzel more than he liked being the Doctor.
I think if you asked him, it was his favourite show to work on.
Yeah. Because
in some ways it gave him more to do.
Yeah.
Than the Doctor.
There's a whole thing about Worzel, because Worzel Gummidge, we probably should know who Worzel Gummidge is. He's a scarecrow. And it's based on the books by Barbara Eufen Todd. And the books are quite different to the television series.
Yes, it's based on the books, but it's by no means an adaptation of the books, is it?
The books can be quite dark.
Yeah.
Imagine so can the television series.
So can the TV series, but in different ways.
But there is an awful lot of mucking around with and people getting covered in cream and cake and that sort of thing.
But the brilliant sort of thing for the TV series that's not in the books is the whole idea of swapping heads.
Yes, he can swap his head. So he's got a normal head, he's got a clever head, he's got a debonair head, hasn't he, or something.
The handsome head.
The handsome head. That's it. Sorry. And he does it, and they sort of mix away.
Yeah, he pulls his head off and puts a new one on, and Jon can therefore
do any character he wants.
Interpret the part slightly differently. Of course, you know what my favourite head is, don't you?
Yes.
It's the wangling head.
The wangling head. To go fishing.
Because Worzel sees a load of, as he puts it, wanglers standing by the river, holding their rods out, and he fancies the idea of a bit of wangling himself. So it's got this sort of weird sou'wester hat thing on it, and the way it works is that he has to sort of and pull his head off,
and then it's a dummy head, obviously,
and then put the new head on. And with this one, he gets the wangling head, he puts it on and goes. No for a spot of wangling.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you don't get how funny that is.
No.
But as an adult, you think, did they just get away with that?
Yes.
And they did, because they do the joke a number of times. And for what is basically a kid's show, it's quite naughty.
It is a bit naughty. But also in Worzel Gummidge, apart from Jon Pertwee, you've got Una Stubbs' Aunt Sally, who's a regular character, which she's not in the books.
She's in several
books, but she's his love interest in this, and she's not in the books.
In the book, she literally is Worzel's aunt.
Yes. And if the rumours are true that they're making a remake of Worzel Gummidge, we hope they stick more to the books. Because you'd want it to be different from Jon's series. You don't want it to be the same.
Yeah.
So you've also got the Crowman,
yes,
who's played by the wonderful Geoffrey Bowden.
Fantastic.
Yes. You get you got the farmer and his wife,
Mr. Braithwaite,
Mrs. Braithwaite, obviously, and the two children. There's two children, which is John and Susan, and they're played by Charlotte Coleman and I've forgotten his name.
You'd need to look it up.
I did look it up, but yes,
I'll look it up. How about that?
And they're wonderful as well. They're your entry into it. And if they did do a remake of it, I don't think it should be set in the modern day, because I don't think you could do it now. You'd have to set it sort of in the past, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
You also get Bill Maynard in it as Sergeant Beetroot, who's another scarecrow. You get Barbara Windsor as Saucy Nancy, and she's the figurehead of a ship. Jeremy Austin. I'm terribly sorry, Jeremy Austin, if you're watching this, which you won't be. And Barbara Windsor's, she's the figurehead of a ship, and she chews tobacco.
Yeah. Again, it's a slight variation from the Saucy Nancy of the books.
Yeah.
But you did a Saucy Nancy pose a few
did,
years ago.
Yeah, on
I got you down to, it was just off from the key.
Yes.
And the whole thing about Saucy Nancy is that she's got this arm that points out to sea, and I got you to go and point out to sea, and I took a photo of you, didn't I?
Yes. You've also got Lorraine Chase.
Yes.
As Dolly Closepeg.
Yeah.
Who's she's a mannequin in a shop, and there's a lovely episode where she and Worzel get along very well, and she loves Worzel.
Yeah.
But Worzel loves Aunt Sally.
Because again, in the books, Worzel is actually married.
He is to Earthy Mangold.
Yeah.
Who's another scarecrow.
But she doesn't really show up in the TV series. There is an implication, I think, in one episode that she's in it, but I'd need to sort of go into fine detail about that. But yeah, she's a major character in the books, but almost nothing in the TV series.
It's a lovely series.
Yeah.
It's you can see they're having fun.
Yeah.
And if they're having fun, that means when you watch,
but
you're having
production
fun.
on Worzel Gummidge is very, very good, isn't it?
They chucked a lot of money at it.
Yeah. It's again, it's not being played for kids, is it?
No.
It's weird. It's a very strange sort of universe, with all these scarecrows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's everybody's giving it the all.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they're not talking down to the audience.
No, that's why it's so fondly remembered these days.
And they did a stage show of it.
Oh, that's right.
And there was a CD available of that if you want to listen to Jon Pertwee singing.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of John stuff out there. I mean, there's his appearance in things like the Carry On films that we haven't covered. Yeah. What's that talk show thing that you've got?
Oh, Tell Me Another.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of
John's stories.
It's not just Jon Pertwee.
No.
So don't get it if you don't. You know, it's on Amazon Prime if you can get Amazon Prime.
But it's lots of famous actors.
Well,
and less.
They were famous at the
time. Yeah.
They may not be so famous now, but it does tell you who they are, so you can look them up if you want to.
But it's a good insight on the way acting, the acting world was in the 70s and earlier.
The way variety worked, and you know, so many of these people were in the army, and what happened when they were in the army, and what digs they had, and you know, it's
sort of landlady stories and things like that.
Yeah, as somebody said the other week, you know, you've got stories about Arthur Askey, who was a very famous in the sort of from the 30s onwards, wasn't he? Yeah. And he, you know, he was staying in this place, and the landlady was rotten, and Jon Pertwee's staying with some sheikh or other.
Wasn't it? John tells a story about marching soldiers or something, and telling them to like sort of turn left or something, and only half of them could hear.
But that's because the sergeant wouldn't, because he was in the Navy, and the officer or sergeant, whatever he was, wouldn't let him shout until they were almost out of view. And he said, the back of them hurt, the back lot heard.
So one lot turned one way and one lot didn't hear, and then he shouts it again, and the ones that hear and didn't hear all start to go into each other, and it just ends up in a complete mess. Yeah,
because he was actually in the Navy in the Second World War.
I mean, again, there's a whole DVD. There's a whole video we could do about Jon Pertwee stories, isn't there?
Yes.
And if you do the blog post today, I think maybe that's what we
we will talk about.
Think about
some of the stories. But
so there you go.
Yes, and I should also say he's the voice of the spotty man in Super Ted.
Yes.
Which, if you're around the same age as me, if you were a sort of child in the late 70s,
do you think
80s,
that deserves a little piece on its own at some point?
Possibly at some point, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, we'll say good night or good morning, depending on when you see this.
Just goodbye.
All right. And I think it's tea time now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. See you soon then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.